You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming. As some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Masquerade in the Woods. So y'all, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you were up, and let's go! Alright. Shepard turns to me, and again I feel myself cower back a little, despite our conversation earlier. If you want to do this, I won't stop you. I just want you to be aware of the risk you'll be taking. Am I really aware? Is this really something I want to get involved in? No, I'm already involved. Might as well make the best of it. I am. You'll need a mask. Mason seems to jump at that, and his grin grows wider as he spins back around and opens the drawer on the workshop desk. He takes out that purple mask again, the one with the X's over the eyes. But that's... no. What? Not like Ludwig's getting much use out of it now anyway. He's not wearing it. A low growl escapes Zahena's throat as he says it, and I take a step back. Human instinct, I guess. Mason rolls his eyes, sighing. Fine. Let him take Rivers, then. It'll probably fit. We all look to the rabbit, who's returned to leaning against the door, one foot behind the other. She shrugs her shoulders at Shepard. I'm not planning on using it. If the trash panda wants to go get himself killed, be my guest. Just don't expect me to come help him if he hurts himself again. Zahena nods at her, disregarding the nickname. He then nods at the possum, who walks over to the workshop table. Wait. You'll need a code name to use while we're out. I look to the others, but Mason's the one to speak up, walking back over with yet another mask in his paws. This one decorated with pink paint, looking a lot less used than the others. We've got me, Ink. He lifts his thumb to his chest, then points at Lucas. Giant. His digit sings towards the rabbit, who rolls her eyes. Doc. Before finally stopping on Shepard. And Bloodhound. We came up with them ourselves. So what's your code name, Stripetail? Haven't ever had to come up with a code name before. Closest comparison would be when I was younger and I had to come up with a gamer tag for my Xbox. And yet, without having to think about it, I know exactly what it is. Tiny. Look up at Lucas, who smiles back down at me. Mason sets the mask down on the desk and picks his beer back up. So, can we finally toast to our new crew member or what? Lucas lifts his beer as well, and I follow his lead. Shepard reluctantly cracks one open as well. Let the sun set, and tomorrow never come. And if the sun rises, may our names be forgotten, but our actions forever remembered. To Tiny. To Tiny. To Tiny. As we tap our 4 cans together above the table, a 5th one joins in. To Tiny. River smirks disapprovingly, shaking her head. Your funeral. Chapter 2. A Dance Under the Midnight Moon. A Dance Under the Midnight Moon. God, I love the style of this game so much! Oh, it's so cool. Fade to black. Alright. Here I am again, in the back seat of Lucas's car. This time driving towards George's house instead of away from it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. The forest road is dark. The sun fully set about an hour ago. The only source of light were the headlights, but now that we're getting closer, even those are switched off. Can't believe I'm actually doing this. We geared up back at home base. And by gear up, I mean we grabbed our masks, packed some stuff into backpacks, and went on our way. Considering I'm borrowing River's mask, Shepard let me borrow her jacket as well. Once our kit was ready, Shepard walked me through the gist of how this works, with the help of the others. Nicknames only, as little spoken words as possible once inside until we know we're alone. Caution when entering every room. No killing. That part was punctuated pretty heavily, and I can't help but feel it was so clearly stated because of what I did to George. Either way, once that was done and Lucas assured me River would in fact help me out if I got hurt, we headed out. 1 second, y'all. Gatorade time. The journey's been pretty quiet so far, with Lucas driving and Mason checking his gear. But the silence is broken when the possum speaks up. So what happened at the hospital anyway? The chief was there. Okay, then why didn't you just leave? Well, we had just arrived, and you know. He knows you, I know. He knows you, I know. How do you know the chief? I ask, leaning... Oh, it's Cody, that's right. Getting it mixed up with River's font color. How do you know the chief? I ask, leaning forward to make it easier to be heard over the rain. He, knows my dad. More like he fucked your dad. What? Come on, you didn't find it suspicious he was there more than your mom? She was working. Still, Coleman is pretty much your second dad. At least that's what the Nubby tells it. At least that's the way Nubby tells it. If that's the case, this whole thing could be more complicated than I originally thought. Lucas sighs. They used to play poker a lot, is all. I don't know if they still do. It doesn't matter now anyway. I have my own place. And a roommate. Speaking of that, I was going to ask about payment. You know, paying you back for letting me stay there while I figure this out? Right now? I thought since we were on the topic already. Mason snickers. Timing is key, Striped Tail. Oh, you don't have to pay me back or anything. He smiles at me through the rearview mirror. I really don't want to mooch. You're not. Why not get a job then? Lucas looks over at the possum before his eyes return to the dark road. Finding these missing people might take some time, judging from experience. We might be here for a while. Well, I would, but I know nothing about this place. I don't have any identification or anything, nothing to back up who I am. Barely know who I am myself. Mason seems to think for a second. Hey, Lou. Hey, Lou. You know a while back when they started hiring newly arrived dudes? You mean at the hospital? Yeah, exactly. The possum looks at me through the mirror. Why not come work with me, Striped Tail? Elder care? I suppose. I'd have to apply, and I'm not sure they'd hire me. Mason smirks. Believe me, we're so understaffed they'd hire ferals if they could. Pretty sure the chief was talking about blackmail having the best healthcare in the state when we met him. Mason makes a mock spitting noise off to the side. Bull! He pauses dramatically, tilting his head back. Shit! Well, I think River's pretty good at what she does. Mason shrugs and looks out the passenger side window. That's just because she got to practice on us. You're lucky, Striped Tail. Once you came around with your missing claws, she'd already had plenty of practice. Lucas slumps down in the driver's seat, both paws on the wheel. Can I ask what happened? Same thing that happened to you. He sighs. Only my knight in shining fur took a bit longer to arrive. He looks down at his paw. Who was it? Who? The captor or the liberator? Both, I guess. Mason straightens himself back up, rolling his neck. Shep was the one who came rushing in, right when that asshole was getting started on my teeth. Captor's name is Nathan Little, or was. Dude seemingly disappeared off the face of the earth after that. He got away? Mason nods, eyes back on the dark forest rolling by outside. Bloodhound got a shot off, hit him in the leg. Little opened fire right back at him. Fucker limped his way out of there and just vanished. Haven't seen a lick of him since. Jeez. Didn't even buy me a drink before he got his greasy paws on me. He adjusts in his seat, dipping his paw down his pocket and pulling out a flat piece of metal. There we go. The sloshing sound it makes as he unscrews the top helps me put the pieces together. Mason, come on! The possum continues untroubled, despite the worried tone of the much larger canine next to him. He flips the cap off, swinging his head back with a hip flask pressed to his lips. Surprisingly, however, he doesn't stop. He swallows once. Mason. Twice. Mason! A jump, the big dog's large fangs showing and his voice rising in volume. Lucas slams on the brakes, flinging us forward into our seats before his big paw flies across the interior and snatches the flask from Mason. Please. He holds it back out to Mason. I know, but... The possum grabs it, but before Lucas lets go, he turns to meet his eyes. Not tonight. After a considerable pause, Mason takes the hip flask back, sliding it down his pocket and letting out a long sigh of his own. We start driving again, in silence this time. I want to ask what he means by that, but I'm not about to risk it after that outburst. Lucas is kind of scary when he's angry. I mentally punched myself in the gut for asking in the first place. Could have avoided all that if I just hadn't asked. Idiot. We're here. Lucas drives off the road and a few meters into the shrubbery, turning the car off. Where? I can't see anything. Don't want to park too close to the house, just in case someone's actually there. Makes sense. Just hope I can find my way back if I need to. Mason opens his backpack and pulls out a small circular box and a brush, handing it to Lucas. He proceeds to open it, dabbing a little paintbrush in the black powder inside. Makeup? He adjusts the mirror and starts dabbing it around his eyes. The powder is almost more like paint, caking to his fur like mud. It almost immediately starts running down the sides of his muzzle. Yeah, to help obscure the eyes a bit. Luckily, you and I don't need any. I raise an eyebrow at him. We don't? Mason takes a deep breath, plasters that familiar grin back on his muzzle, and turns in his seat. He raises a clawless digit up to his eye, moving it in a circular fashion around it. Natural eyeshadow, dummy. Oh. Right. I'm a raccoon. I lift my own paw up to my face, running my fingers through the fur. Lucas hands the makeup back to the possum, who stuffs it back in his bag. Alright, are we ready? Wait, one more thing. Dude, who the fuck else looks like this guy? Seriously. I don't know, maybe lots of people do. He has a very particular build, though, and a very particular coloration. Wait, one more thing. Is this like when Superman? Is this like when Superman like just takes his glasses off and no one can tell he's Clark Kent? Anyway, we both look at him as he reaches back into his bag, pulling out a pistol. You ever been shooting before, Striped Tail? I shake my head. I don't think I've ever seen a gun in real life before. Alright, well it's pretty simple. You've got your trigger and your safety. He points them out as he mentions them. It's already loaded, so you shouldn't have to worry about that, at least not for now. Are you sure this is a good idea? Lucas looks back at me. I mean, I just don't want you to accidentally hurt yourself or something. He'll be fine, Lou. Right? Will I? I mean, if something happens, I think I'd rather go in armed than unarmed. Even if I trust the big dog to keep me safe. Yeah, I'll be fine. I nod at Lucas, who responds with a signature look of worry. Mason hands it over, and my first reaction is how much heavier it is than it looks. Just don't go pointing it at either of us, alright? Yeah, got it. He pulls out a second pistol, tucking it into his waistband. Safety's on. By the way, just so you know. Don't want you shooting your dick off. Right. I follow the possum's lead, tucking the pistol between my belt and pants. As I'm adjusting its placement, Lucas digs his paw down his pocket, pulling out what is definitely a taser, judging from the black plastic and metal prongs at the top. He turns in his seat, holding it out to me. Here. Non-lethal option. Second, y'all. It is water time. Okay. Mason looks at him questioningly. Just in case. I nod, taking my paw and feeling out the button on the side. The prongs on the top look as sharp as fangs, and I make a mental note to do my best not to rip a hole in my pants with it. It's still impressive how much smaller it looks in his paw compared to mine. He's a giant, that's for sure. I'll let Shep know you need some weapons training at some point. The sooner the better, probably. Never thought I'd learn to fire a gun. That's for criminals in the military. I don't think I'm cut out for the military. Alright, mask up. I reach over the back seat to pick up the black gloves, slipping them over my fingers and threading the claws through the holes at the tips. All except for two, of course. It proves a bit more difficult than I thought. The bandage sticks to the fabric of the glove like Velcro. Once on, I reach down into the footwell and pull out the pink mask. With some adjusting of the leather straps in the back, I make it fit surprisingly well. Even though it's Rivers and designed to fit her, it's not such a bad fit on my raccoon features. Though it's definitely a lot harder to see out of than I thought. Feeling of my whiskers pressed back against my face is also a new feeling. Strange, but new. Once these are on, we're hunting, understood? He says as he slides his cap off, his ears folding to get through the holes at the top. So let's keep this professional, alright? Whatever happens in there, we stick to nicknames, got it? Got it. Lucas nods affirmatively. At least till we know it's empty. I mean, even then there could be recording devices in there. The rain is like ice as it pours down on my exposed fur. With the sun gone, the temperature has dropped significantly, and I shiver. River's raincoat is a bit too slim for me, but it's a hell of a lot better than a hoodie. I get soaked in seconds. The giant stops almost immediately as we exit the car, lifting his nose in the air. What's that smell? Ink walks around the hood, mimics the gesture. It smells like camping. Yeah. It's ash. The giant immediately turns to look at me. I could smell it when I woke up in the woods. You mean the forest was on fire? Not that I remember. It might have been at some point. The whole place just smelled like ash, and the trees were all black. Ink looks at Giant. We would have caught something on the police scanner about a forest fire, wouldn't we? Would have at least read it in the newspaper. Who the fuck reads newspapers? Well, I do. Did you not have fucking internet? I can't recall any fire. Am I misremembering? You got teleported there, I guess. Yo, that brings up another interesting question. How the fuck does the dude in a fucking car crash get teleported into a furry world? Oh, shit. Oh. That guy might be why. Tiny. What? I open my eyes back up and see Giant and Ink a few steps ahead of me. I stare at them, blinking as the memory slowly fades. Come on, let's move out. Right, okay. Giant takes the lead, walking ahead with his rifle in his paw, his head turning as he scans the surroundings. His empty duffel bag gently swings against his back from its strap. I follow close behind, the pistol in my right paw aimed at the ground, flashlight in my left. Ink sticks behind me, one paw on the gun in his belt. Alright, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks or a tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!